This is it, the finale of our season, the Super Bowl of wrestling. The 2023 NCAA Wrestling Finals are here. The only way you can watch is on ESPN, 7 p.m. tonight. Not on ESPN Plus, not on Flow Wrestling. You can join the commentary stream here on Fanco Wrestling, which I'll be hosting pre-show and during the finals, giving my thoughts and opinions. And I'd love for you to join to give your thoughts and opinions throughout as well. But I've given you my thoughts before the finals. I've given you my thoughts before the season. But now that we actually have these official finals, by the way, thanks to Bashamania for providing this awesome graphic, I can give you my thoughts on who I think is actually going to win every single weight. And we're going to start off at the lightweights, obviously, at 125 pounds. And this is with Matt Ramos. What a crazy win that he pulled off against Spencer Lee last night. I'm still flabbergasted by that. I haven't taken in all of what that means. But you may be foolish to pick against him. I mean, he's coming as a number 4 seed. Had impressive victories throughout the tournament. But on the bottom half here, you have Pat Glory of Princeton, a national finalist last year, which Matt Ramos wasn't a finalist last year. Yeah, he may be 35-4 this season, or whatever. I think it's 35-4. But Pat Glory has had a pin, a major, a decision, another decision to make the finals against Matt Ramos. I think Glory, he was gunning for Spencer. While I didn't think he was going to end up beating Spencer Lee, I do think that he has that little bit of extra energy, that little bit of extra oomph to beat Matt Ramos. I'm actually picking Pat Glory to beat him. Yes, I know that Ramos pinned Spencer Lee, but this is a different match. This is a finals match. And I'm picking Pat Glory. If you pick against me, totally cool. Just drop a comment with why you are doing that. At 133, we thought we may have had Roman Bravo Young versus Dayton Fix, but in fact, we ended up getting Vito Arujau of Cornell, who majored and upset Dayton Fix of Oklahoma State in the semifinals. What an impressive tournament for him. Now, between him and RBY has wrestled some closer matches, some tighter ones, 5-2, 4-1, 6-4 sudden victory. You may be wondering, is RBY, like, what's going on with him? Is he going to be able to pull it out? I mean, RBY and Vito, they're going to have some crazy scrambles on their feet. I think that's where it's going to be really won the match. I think they're each going to get a takedown apiece, and it's going to come down to whoever gets that second takedown. I doubt RBY is going to be able to ride him on top, but he's been riding out some of the top wrestlers in the entire country, and that is where, honestly, that's where he shines, is on top. I'll be impressed if he can ride out Vito for over a minute, though, and gain that riding time point. I think we're going to see some insane scrambles here. Who do I pick to win? I can't pick against RBY going for his 3rd title. The question is going to be whether she's going to get that Hodge Trophy or not. And I'll give you my thought about that, because there is some interesting storylines here. At 141, Real Woods of Iowa, who is had a great tournament, majored his way the last 2 matches. 1, 2, 3 of his matches are major decisions out of his 4. He'll be wrestling against Andrew Alvarez of Northern Colorado, who's just had an all-around impressive year. Undefeated season, 27-0, whereas Real Woods is 21, 2, 3, 4-0, and Alvarez is 27, 28, 29, 30, 31-0. You got to add those extra matches on there, of course. Alvarez has had a good tournament. There's no insane wins that he said he had, but I could also say the same thing about Real Woods. I think it's just going to be a good match. Real Woods beat him at the Southern Scuffle in the past throughout their history, and I think that honestly, Real Woods is going to end up beating him again. I think he's just that little bit more experience of a wrestler. I think that he has come into this tournament unlike past years where he's had insane runs at nationals before. I think this year, finally with nobody in his path, other than Alvarez standing in his way as the number 1 seed, he's going to end up coming out and winning the national title. At 149 pounds, are we going to see another insane upset like we saw last night? Yanni Diakomahalis and Sammy Sasso. Now, these two actually have wrestled before in their history. Sasso of Ohio State, well, he's had some impressive victories this tournament, a couple of major decisions, beat a number 3 ranked Kyle Parko. And Yanni, beating a Van Ness is great, but also it's he is a freshman, right? I get it that Van Ness has had a fantastic tournament, knocking off coming back in the first round, beating Ethan Miller, beating Pinheiro Johnson in the second round, beating Graham Rooks. But Yanni has been somebody who is consistent. He is going, I actually don't think he's going to do anything flashy. It's not going to be like his finals matches that he had against Bryce Meredith or Joey McKenna when he was a freshman and sophomore. It's going to be a little bit more dialed down. Last year he impressed me whenever he beat, Riz Lovett by such an impressive victory. I think it's going to be a little bit tighter. I think maybe you see him go up 2 takedowns against Sasso, but Sasso's going to give him a little bit something extra this match that he hasn't given him. The last time they wrestled was at Nationals last year, I think in the semifinals, where Yanni ended up winning. I think he's going to end up winning again, sending us to 157 pounds. And at 157, we have Austin O'Connor, who has the luck of the Irish this weekend as an Irish descendant, going up against Levi Haynes. Now you have experience versus new guy. And this is where things get always exciting for me, because Austin O'Connor has been kind of doubted this season. And a lot of that has come from him being injured at Nationals last year and making the stand, but being injured. I think he ended up having an injury default out, taking 8th place. Well, I think this year seems to be his year with how well he's been wrestling. But Levi Haynes just has that little bit of Penn State, oomph in him. That little bit of magic that can get him so far. He beat Peyton Robb again in the semifinals after beating him in the Big Ten finals just 2 weeks ago. He had a great win, a pin over Bryce Andonian, and I picked Andonian at the beginning of this tournament to make the finals. Well, Levi Haynes ended up beating him and pinning him. I cannot pick against Levi Haynes. So at this point, am I just picking all Penn State wrestlers? No. Well, we'll see. We'll see. At 165 pounds, David Carr took out Quincy Monday in the semis and is facing Keegan O'Toole in the finals. These two have wrestled twice this year so far, and at the beginning of the year, I said, yeah, we're going to see them wrestle 3 times. It's going to be once in a duel, once at Big 12s, and once at the national tournament. And here we are. My prediction was right because they're wrestling in the national finals. In the 2 matches they wrestled this year, David Carr won 7-2 in the duel, and he pinned him at the Big 12 tournament. Are we going to get another pin here? No, I don't think we're going to see that. I think we're going to see Keegan, just like the Yanni match, we're going to see these wrestlers go a little bit not as energetic. We're not going to see them as aggressive. We're going to see them a little bit more defensive. I think that's what happens a lot in the national finals. That's why the semis and the blood round is my favorite round, because you see a little bit more sparks flying. The finals is like, you get a lead. Well, I want to be a national champion, so I'm going to kind of hold on to that lead. And I'm not saying anything against that. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, but that's what you see a lot of the times. And I think you're going to see one of these guys get a lead, and it's going to be tough for the other one to score. I see maybe a 4-2 victory from one of these guys. My prediction, just based on how he's been wrestling this year, is David Carr. And, I think that the Hodge, the committee is going to end up giving David Carr, Yanni Diakopoulou the Hodge Trophy because he's a 4-timer. And I'm not against that. However, he does have 1 loss. So if they don't award it to him, I think it either goes to Roman Bravo Young, who's had a fantastic year, undefeated, 3-time national champion if he wins the national title, or David Carr because of his fantastic run through nationals. I mean, look at this bracket. He beat out Shane Griffith, former national champion, national finals last year at this weight. He beat out Quincy Monday, national finals last year at 157. And if he beats Keegan O'Toole, that is the national champion of last year at 165. That is quite an impressive resume on top of all of his undefeated season and coming in and winning another national title. I think that we can actually see that happen and him maybe winning the Hodge Trophy. Let me know who you think is going to win it. And we go to 174. But before we do that, I want to ask you to hit that subscribe button. Now, at the beginning of the weekend, we were trying to hit 1,000 extra subscribers to this channel before Spencer Lee earned his 100th win. And at this point, Spencer Lee, if he places 3rd, he will earn his 100th win. Not the way we wanted it to happen, but he will earn that win. And I still want you to hit that subscribe button though, because it actually helps out this channel tremendously. And if you are somebody who's new to this channel, or you're somebody who's been around but just aren't really sure what that subscribe button does, it helps out the channel and it's free. It's totally free to hit subscribe. It's not like paying for Netflix or paying for Hulu or this or that, but it's something that shows the channel that you are a supporter of Fanco Wrestling. You also get just notified through YouTube that I uploaded a new video, so you can stay updated on all the latest wrestling news. We've had over 800 new subscribers in the past day. My mind is blown, and I'm so grateful. So please, thank you for hitting that subscribe button. As we go into 174, Carter Sirachi and Mikey Labriola. This is a Big Ten championship rematch. Sirachi beat him at the Big Tens in a 6-1 decision. They've actually wrestled twice in previous seasons. Sirachi's gotten the better of him every single time. While I have been impressed by Labriola's run, and I like for Nebraska, for the Cornhuskers, who we weren't sure if they were going to have a national finalist after getting Ridge Lovett last year. And it's like, well, with him not wrestling this year, are they going to get a national finalist? And it turns out, yes, they are, in Mikey Labriola, but I think this is as far as this run's going to go, and Sirachi's going to end up winning that national title. So another Penn Stater wins. Oh, roll your eyes if you're not a Penn Stater. Let's get to 184. We have another 90 line, Aaron Brooks. And I know, at this point, it's like Penn State versus the world in the finals. I mean, 5 of the 20 finalists are Penn Staters. A quarter of them. It's insane at this point, and they could get 5 national champions again. Parker Keckeisen against Aaron Brooks. Now, these two actually have wrestled throughout their careers. He's had 2 losses. Keckeisen has had 2 losses to Brooks throughout the last couple of seasons. Both have been decisions, close. The last time they wrestled, it was actually a decision as well, but it was like a Brooks-controlled match. It was like one of those type of matches where Keckeisen wrestled him, but he didn't like do a whole lot, and so Brooks ended up coming out with the victory. I think Brooks, I said it in my video earlier in my semifinals recap, but Brooks is on the level of wrestlers as Bo Nickel, as Jason Nolf, as David Taylor. Like, he has stepped it up, where I thought he was going to have a crazy close match to Trent Hidley and lose that match. He ended up winning by a pretty like hefty margin. I mean, 6-3, but like heftier compared to before. And because of that, I think Brooks is going to end up pulling off this victory again. I think he's going to be a national champion, a 3-timer, and potentially Penn State's first 4-timer, depending on where they have him in Carter Sirachi line up next year, and if they both win titles this year. And that brings us to 2 final weight classes. Nino Bonacorsi of Pitt wrestling against Tanner Sloan. These two have not wrestled, and while Tanner Sloan has kind of sneakily entered into the national finals in a very good way, a phenomenal season Tanner Sloan has had with only a couple of 2 losses on his resume. I mean, that is an impressive year in and of itself. Hasn't got the media attention as some of these other guys. He's not a former national finalist like Nino Bonacorsi. He's with that sleek, kind of sneaky style. He's not afraid of anyone to come in there. Like, maybe he feels like an underdog to you and to a lot of the wrestling fans out there, but he's not. He's going to come in there. He's going to come in aggressive. I think the difference here is Bonacorsi's experience in the finals. I think he's really been honed in. He's really been wrestling well on his feet, getting those takedowns that he needs to get. And I think that we're going to see him pull off probably like a 5-3 victory against Tanner Sloan is my favorite here in the finals. Sloan's a blood round guy. He's an All-American in 2020, but this is his first time like really making the podium. And I think what a way to do it in the finals. But Nino Bonacorsi is going to get the better of him. And at 285 pounds, Mason Parris versus Greg Kirkfleet. And am I going to pick a Penn Stater again? Am I that much of a Penn State homer? And listen, I didn't pick 5 Penn Staters to win the beginning of the tournament. So don't call me a Penn State homer. I mean, okay, I am a Penn State homer. But I'm giving legitimate reasons for this. And, you can't get mad at me when there are literally 5 Penn Staters in the finals. What am I supposed to do about that? They're just a good team. Anyways, back to 285 pounds. These two have wrestled 6 times in their careers. Parris started off by majoring Kirkfleet in 2021. He had 3 losses to do him in 2022. Ended up finally getting a victory to him. But then Parris has had the better of him throughout the last couple of bouts this season. And he was on fire in the semifinals. What was that score in the semis? Yeah, 16-1 against Anthony Cassiope, who's a top 4 wrestler in the country. While I think it's great that this is going to be a great match, and I think Kerkvliet has the capabilities to beat him. I think that Mason Parrish is ultimately going to end up beating Greg Kerkvliet to win. Penn State's going to win the national title if it's not already decided by the time this video comes out. And to watch a video about all the four-timers in history and some of their stories throughout their career, you can watch this video here next.